not a Who gig.
Oh, okay.
It's my show. I wrote a script of Quadrophenia, and early this year I committed to do a solo show for the Prince's Trust. You know, I actually produced the first 2 concerts for the Prince's Trust with George Martin in 81, 82 and 83. And then I...
Okay, you were clearing up the misconceptions. The Prince's Trust thing was going to
Yeah, you know, I did a few Prince's Trust things, and I hadn't done anything for a while, and I thought it was time to do something. So I committed to do this concert, and then about 3 months ago, Harvey Goldsmith told me that it was for 150,000 people, and I just freaked. I thought, well, what the fuck am I going to do? You know, I go out there with a guitar and, you know, and strum in front of 150,000 people. So at first I thought I might do Psychedelic, that thing I did in '93.
Right.
I did a tour with that, and then I realised that nobody would know what the fuck it was about. So I decided to do Quadrophenia. And I started to talk about it with various people and discovered that I wasn't really going to be able to afford to put it on without sponsorship. So we spoke to a few sponsors, and of course the sponsors would only put the money up if they understood it as a Who gig. So I kept telling them, no, this is not a Who gig, this is Quadrophenia, this is not a Who gig. But in the end, I agreed to ask Roger whether he would sing on the thing, because I felt that, you know, anyway, he would certainly do a great job on it, and he agreed to sing on it, and we immediately got our sponsorship, which we needed to make the movie, to tell the story, which we got from MasterCard, and it kind of proceeded from there. The script that I've written is designed really as a concert vehicle for celebrities, of whom I suppose, you know, Roger Daltrey is a celebrity, and he said that if he and I appeared on a concert and that we didn't invite John Entwistle, that John would be very upset. So I invited John, and John said he was far too busy doing something else, but in the end he changed his plans and he agreed to play, and there you have it, a Who gig, allegedly, but I'm only singing 3 or 4 songs. I think I'm singing 3 songs, and I'm not playing guitar, so it's not really a Who gig, and we won't be playing anything. We won't be playing any old Who songs. So I mean, I'm not afraid of getting up on the stage and being seen to be the Who. I'm very proud of what the Who did. I'm very proud of my relationship and my friendship to the surviving members of the Who. It's just that I don't want to cheat people, you know.
Right. So who else is involved in this thing then? Or who will be actually there that night?
Well, you know, it's not, unfortunately, it's not night. It's day. It's very close to the longest day of the year, so the whole thing will be done in daylight, which makes it quite complicated. It's a concert. Alanis Morissette is doing a show. Bob Dylan is doing a show. Then we're doing Quadrophenia, and then Eric Clapton is doing a show. In the Quadrophenia section, there's a number of people in the movie, which you'll see in the back projection, a number of surprise celebrities, and there are a number of surprise celebrities who will appear on the stage, along with me and Roger.
I see, but I guess half the show is just sort of springing the surprises for the people who happen to be there that day.
That's right. I mean, I think a couple of names are starting to leak out, but you know, a couple of the people that I asked to begin with agreed and then pulled out. So I think it's probably best not to mention any names at the moment.
Okay. Well,
I think the other thing that my manager said is that I shouldn't mention any names until he's finalised the contracts for New York.
Okay. That's fair enough. So I think we've covered all the avenues you're pursuing at present, right? Because there are like about 3 matters concerning the past that this guy wants to clear up for some reason. Would it be okay to move on to that if you basically informed us of all that you're doing now?
Well, I continue to be involved in the remastering of old Who product. I'm particularly proud of the remixing of Quadrophenia, which I think is partly why I wanted to accelerate this live performance aspect of it, because the album was an album you may or may not know, which I produced. And although I'm very proud of what I took on more than I could handle. And towards the end, particularly in the mixing, I think I ill-served the record. And what's happened is that when we've remixed it, it's really turned out to be absolutely spectacular. Well, in my view, just fabulous. And so I'm very proud of that work that I've been doing. And I'm also looking back to some extent because I'm considering at the moment writing an autobiography. But what I do at home every day that's new is I sit down and I try and write new things. And I have a couple of hours a day every day dedicated to writing. But unfortunately, until I do write something new and it pays the rent, I'll constantly be going back. But obviously the other thing about going back is to honour what we've done in the past. And I have no difficulty with that whatsoever.
So when you sit down to do your couple of hours of writing new material now, you're still using that device where you have like a big picture and you sort of fill in the pieces then?
That's right. At the moment I'm writing fairly modest, what I'd call chamber plays. I've chamber musicals. I've written a story called Stella, which is really quite short, about a playwright and an actress, and another story called Trilby's Piano, which is about a woman who encourages a young man to play the piano. And these 2 stories are fairly modest, but they are producing songs. They inspire me to write songs. And I might put those plays together and try and put them on together somewhere, I might just have to bury them if they don't work properly. But that's the kind of thing I'm doing.
So you always have theater in mind. You never have cinema in mind?
I'm not a fan of movies, I'm afraid. I like film, but I don't. I think the composer's art is a higher art than the film director's art.
A higher art meaning
it's a higher art.
I mean,
we work in a much higher place. We are superior beings.
Oh, why didn't you say so? Okay.
And when you are a composer and you work in movies, you have to be subordinate to the director, which is fair enough because that's their genre. And I find it very difficult because, I don't know, let's to give you an example. A film composer might say to me, I would like to work with you on my movie. And I would say, well, why? And they would say, well, because your music is so kind of filmic. And I would say, well, can you explain to me what you mean by that? And they would say, well, it creates images in my head. And I would say, well, good. So the job is done then. Because the next step, of course, is for the film director to try to get me to write more music, which will help to create the images in the audience's head that he wants to make. Well, that's his job. And in actual fact, there are composers that are brilliant at doing that. I'm not very good at it, unfortunately.
Are you also an avid theater goer, or are those?
These days, yes. I don't enjoy very much of music theatre. I think it's the last thing that I saw that I suppose I should have enjoyed as much as everybody else was I saw Rent in New York. And although it purports to be a rock musical, And it does have some fantastic moments. I think it's a pity that it wasn't completely finished before the writer died. But I do think that's the way I want to go. I want to go, I want to start to... I love the whole process of theatre. I like the... I hope it's not a form